Rock climbers come in many forms, with personal styles as varied as the rock itself. Some styles are more common than others, however, and oftentimes climbers end up becoming specialists in one area or another. You've got crack climbers, crimp crushers, slope slappers, slab masters, mantle musclers, high ballers, low ballers, and everything in between. In today's day and age, being a well-rounded climber is increasingly rare. Now, I'm not talking about pro climbers who can pretty much do it all, though you do see specialists there as well. I'm talking about you and me and the people we climb with every weekend. We've all got those friends who crank V10 but couldn't jam 511 crack or do a 10-foot slab run out to save their lives.
Why jams?
Or on the flip side, the one obsessed with trad climbing that's never busted a V6 or 512 sport route and probably never will. More often than not, modern climbers play to their strengths and ignore their weaknesses. Which is why Andrew Rock is such a rare breed. The man is simply good at it all. He's on-sighted the Rostrum and Astroman in Yosemite, climbed 513 trad and sport, sent countless highball boulder problems, and most recently, on his 46th birthday, even sent his first V9. He's also really, really good at what might be the rarest style of climbing today, pure techie face. Perhaps most clearly demonstrated in the short film I made about his on-site of the infamously heady Bachar-Yerian in Tuolumne Meadows, which if you haven't seen it, I'll put a link in the description. But just for a little bit of context, this route is dead vertical, and while only rated a modest 511 plus, has shook off some of the strongest climbers in the world. Wolfgang Gulick and Jerry Moffitt both failed to on-site back in the day, and most recently, so even did Ethan Pringle, who in my mind is one of the most well-rounded pros in the world. Now this is no slight to them, I just say this to illustrate what I mean about techie face climbing being a bit of a lost art, and harder than the grades make it seem. In today's video, we're gonna see Andrew demonstrate this skill, along with some slab and I don't even know what you call it that he does on the DIHEDRAL. I hope it inspires you to get out of your comfort zone a little bit and try something new. This is the Redemption of Andrew Rock, Part 2. Now just watching Andrew send would be fun enough, I guess. But you know what's really fun? Watching strong climbers struggle on things well below their limit. In fact, that might be my favorite thing, and today we are in for a treat. Let me introduce you to Daniel Vakili. This man has been climbing double-digit boulder problems for over a decade, and this year was his first season out at Hondo. Now before you feel bad about me roasting him, just know that the very next video on my channel is going to be called Rise of the Vakili, and will detail how he single-handedly took Hondo to the next level by establishing a slew of the area's hardest problems and projects. He'll be getting plenty of props there, but on this channel, we got to break you down before we build you back up. With that in mind, let's see how many tries it takes Daniel to send Andrew's classic slab problem FLOATISMO, which while only rated about V4, has pretty much stymied everyone who's tried it. But surely a V12 climber like Daniel, he'll make quick work of this, right? I mean, it's 9 grades below his limit.
No, sorry. Nope. No, that too is incorrect. Sorry, it'll cost you. That's wrong. You think we should go to commercial? You went in the wrong direction. You risked and lost, and what did it cost you? Everything.
Now, I don't want to see any comments blaming this on his mythos. I'm a mythos man myself, and keep in mind that Alex Huber climbed 514 on El Cap in these bad boys, so that excuse ain't gonna fly. And Daniel doesn't want it anyway, because unlike most of you fuckers, he doesn't make excuses. Crazy concept, right? Anyway, when I asked how many tries it was gonna take Daniel to send this, that was a trick question, because he didn't send this. Now for the boring part, let's watch Andrew climb this with ease. Notice the high step skills, way he precisely places each toe hold, the composure, and there you have it. He's at the top. Good job, Andrew. See what I mean? Watching people climb smoothly is almost as boring as partying with Alex Honnold. Okay, let's get back to the good stuff, and let me tell you a little more about Daniel while we watch him struggle on my problem, the Hedgehog's Dilemma, a funny little V3 balance problem. Now, truthfully, Daniel isn't one of those climbers I mentioned who's only good at a certain style. He's actually incredibly well-rounded himself. What I love about climbing with him is that he tries absolutely everything. Doesn't matter the style, or grade, or even the quality. He's game for it all. And in my opinion, that's the attitude all climbers should strive for. Also, he certainly doesn't shy away from his weaknesses. And I got a feeling that after watching himself get absolutely exposed over the course of this video, as a, I'll just say, not very good slab and balance climber, that he's gonna commit to refining those skills with a vengeance. And by next season, I'm guessing he'll be keeping up with Andrew on any terrain. And sure, I'll be happy for him. But what about me, your humble narrator? Broadcasting my friends' failures on YouTube is what I live for. And I'm not ready for a Daniel with no weaknesses. Thankfully, it ain't next season yet. And we're only halfway through this story. So let's get back to the man of the hour, Andrew Rock, and his best first ascent of 2021, an improbable looking seam called CHAPUCERO. Now, to understand what that name even means, I first need to show you Andrew's classic problem from a few years back named CHAPUCERO. Let's watch living legend Demetrius Fritz send it while I give you some context. This problem starts on some tiny ass crimps, which I simply couldn't hang from when we were battling it out for the first ascent. So in a move I'm famous for, I just used my height as an advantage and started the problem on the better edge up high, which nobody else could reach. Is this ethically questionable? Yeah, I guess, but at this point it was a project, and who's to say where it started? Come on. I just knew I wanted to be the first to the top. Logical start holds be damned. Using this underhanded tactic, I pulled onto the rock and quickly found my way to the upper holds, which unfortunately for me were slopey and gritty, and I fell off. Next go, Andrew sent the problem from the obvious start holds and named the problem CHAPUCERO, which in Spanish can mean sloppy, shoddy, or amateurish. Thanks, bud. Anyways, veering off to the right of CHAPUCERO is an incredibly thin seam with no feet that was an obvious line. From the ground, I personally thought it looked impossible, but if ever there was a problem that played into Andrew's bag of techie vert tricks, it was this one. And thus, the CHAPUCERO project was born. That was fucking legendary.
Thanks.
That was
good.
so
That's
sick.
a nice problem.
Isn't it?
Yeah. A little deceiving
Fucking-
up top.
Yeah.
And just like that, the battle began. Over the next few weekends, a horde of strong climbers threw themselves into the fray. And that includes, you guessed it, Daniel Vakili. Once again, it was modern power versus old man strength. Zoomer versus boomer. And who would emerge the victor, only the stone could say. It looked like the crux was in the middle of the seam, where the holds got bad and the feet became sparse. But then that riddle was solved, and a new crux appeared at the very end. Daniel was there, one move from glory. Could this be the coup d'etat that finally ends the Grey King's reign and ushers in a new era of techie vert climbers? Nay. The young challenger had fallen, the coup had failed, and the Grey King was still climbing. Once again, Andrew Rock had won the game of stones. Yeah, baby! But in the land of Hondo, the wheel of time was spinning faster than ever, and the army of the young was rising. Anxious to learn more dark arts from the past, they turned their eyes once again to unfamiliar terrain, slab. And not just any slab, Friendly Fire, the highball slab test piece in the kingdom. Established by visiting climber KIERAN BROWNIE a couple years ago, Friendly Fire is only about a V5 really, but I'm telling you it's a style thing. But even so, it's honestly not that hard. It's been repeated a handful of times and even on-sighted. Surely, a V12 climber like Daniel could get this one. Right, Daniel? At first it was looking promising. Daniel and Andrew both quickly got to the crux, but each were rebuffed. This was Daniel's time to shine. If he could be the first to the top, it would be a statement. Proof that he had learned something. A mic drop. Unfortunately, he hadn't. And it wasn't.
I'm done with this.
The slab was too cryptic, and there just weren't any holds for him to crimp on. All Daniel could do now was watch from the ground while Andrew taught another history lesson.
God damn it, I hate the fucking top on it.
Intermediate and just like cranked off.
Fuck, I hate that thing.
Did you go put the right foot up on the...
So now we've covered two styles of climbing, techie vert and slab. All that's left is what I would call, for lack of a better term, awkward trad. Something not usually found on a boulder problem, and a style perhaps rarer than them all. It was time for Andrew's nemesis, the DEATHSTILL DIHEDRAL, the problem that had haunted his dreams for 5 years. The problem that Mason Earl established in a previous video on this channel, but that no one could repeat. Would the old man be able to prove that he was indeed in the best shape of his life and get this monkey off his back at last? And would Daniel's apprenticeship finally pay off? It was time to find out. In a tale as old as time, it was a showdown between the student and the master. But it was also more than that. It was a race for the coveted second ascent of one of Hondo's proudest boulder problems. And make no mistake, each man wanted it badly.
God damn it!
Even so, the master remained an open book, and the apprentice was taking notes.
Right foot, it's your left foot on that. You can right foot on this little, a nice little solid bump.
Eventually, they both clawed their way up to the final challenge, a shallow pod that would grant access to the top to the first person that could unlock its secrets.
Not quite that good.
Come on, just stay on it.
Fuck. Fuck. Breathe, man, breathe. You coming down?
But after much effort, it looked like neither one of them could. When I heard this moan from Andrew and saw him laying on the mat yet again, I had a flashback to 5 years ago when I witnessed the exact same scene. I shuddered. At this point, I've filmed his ass on this shit God knows how many times. If it didn't go down now, he was out a videographer, and I was moving all my investments into Daniel. But then I heard the unmistakable sound of creaking bones. He was on his feet again, at the base of the climb, and I rolled the camera, prepared that it could be the last time. Jesus Christ, thank God.
Fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! Woo! Yes!
Oh, baby, baby, baby!
Woo!
We're gonna give you some major YouTube redemption, baby.
Oh. Oh my God, that was so good.
And there it was, right in front of our eyes, the redemption of Andrew Rock. What was different?
Oh, I don't know. Oh. Oh my God, I'm so excited. That was so rad. Oh. That jam, you're right, it sucks. But like it just bit enough, and then once I got my right toe on the edge, and then I did like a little mini pinky down crossover.
How was the pinky down crossover?
It bit,
Yeah.
like I was like, okay, I'm going, like that's it.
Nice, okay. That looked pretty.
Oh, I can't believe I did it. Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, I thought that would never go down. Oh, that was so fucking good.
You looked really strong at the start. I was like, it's going down. You looked really, really strong at the start.
I know, that inspired me. You're like, oh, you look so good. I was like, okay, I feel good. I'm like, yes. Oh, I'm fucking, that's the best. That's the best. I haven't projected something or worked something that long.
I looked at Steven, I was like, I think that's like a highlight for the last couple years. Like
Yeah,
that's a big
And
deal.
I've wanted this thing, wanted it for so long. This is like always been in the back of my finger, just barely something magical happened there, and it found a little something, and then I was so stretched and tippy on my left foot like this, and then I was like tucked my chin in and I could just barely see the edge, and I was like, oh, and then once my foot was on, it felt like a lot better. Oh, so many times laying on the pad out of breath, so many times. My heart, when I was laying on the pad, after my second go, my heart was pounding so hard, and it was just like thumping.
Now, while the vibe was certainly joyous, an unmistakable tension hung in the air. The master had shown the way, but could the apprentice follow? With Daniel standing at the top, I was filled with a renewed vigor. Perhaps there is hope for the modern climber. And I just gotta say, I couldn't be happier for myself as the filmmaker. That's the perfect ending. Don't rest on your laurels, Daniel.
I dreamt about this thing, dreamed about it. ever. Such a good fucking line.